Hey everybody, Reef Girl here. I totally forgot I had this video, so here you go.
What we're gonna do right here is go back, way back into time.
So here we are at the end of the cycle, or at least I hope so. Judging by the ammonia reading, it's 0. We're doing good so far. I want to put the mollies in the new tank, but the nitrates are testing just a little high. I also want to clean the sand bed by vacuuming it. So I think I'll do a whole water change by cleaning the sand bed and pumping new water back in by using my pump from the basement. Right now I have 16 gallons of mixed prepared salt water available to do this water change. So I need to do some math and figure out how much water I actually take out of the display, because of course if I'm going to vacuum the sand bed, I need to remove water from the display. First we need to do a little bit of math. And the formula, as CJ so famously provided to everybody, is length times width times depth divided by 231 gives you the gallons that you need. So I have 16 gallons of water available to me right now in my saltwater tote. So 47 is the length of my tank, 22 is the depth front to back, times X, which is what I don't know, is how much water to remove in inches. Divide that by 231 should equal 16. So going down doing the math, we see that length times width times unknown equals 16 times 231. Length times width is 1034 times unknown equals 3696. So unknown equals 3696 divided by 1034. Unknown equals therefore 3.5744 and a whole bunch of digits. So that means that I need roughly 3.6 inches of water removed from my tank, from the display, will equal 16 gallons, which is the amount of water I have available to me in my saltwater tote already prepared, ready to go. To check that equation, the length 47 times the depth 22 front to back times 3.6 equals 3,722.4. Divide that by 231 and we get 16.114 gallons. So I'm satisfied, I've done the math, and I need to make a mark on my tank to show the level of 3.6 inches of water, or 3.5 is close enough. The pump is shut off and the water has settled down into the sump, and it turns out it drops by about an inch. So now I need to mark 3.5 inches down from the water level where it is right now to figure out how much to take out. So before we go ahead with anything else, let's see what day 27 of the cycle looks like. You can see that part of the sand is white, and that's because I've been stirring it up in the last few days to move the diatoms along a little quicker. The dark area is where I haven't messed with the sand yet. So day 27, time to clean the sand bed, time to do a water change, and after that I'll check the nitrates and see whether they've dropped to a level where I feel comfortable moving the mollies over into this tank. And my pre-marked sticky note tells me I'm right on. Having turned off the return pump and allowing the water to settle down into the sump, that you can see that it's full, I removed all the water that I needed for the water change from the display tank, and now I need to refill that water. With the remote water change, the pump is actually in the basement in a tote full of salt water. And it's a balancing act because that water doesn't travel up here as fast as the water from the return chamber will go into the main tank. So I need to turn the return pump on and off and allow the water to refill periodically throughout this whole process. It's quite a balancing act. And here's something I haven't shown anybody yet. This is my ATO and controller cabinet. My husband made me this cabinet, and he's never made a cabinet before, so he did an awesome job. You can see here I have my pump controllers, and all of the wiring is managed behind and travels to where it needs to. First of all is the RODI pump that brings water up from the RODI container. There's the return pump control. This is actually plugged into the battery backup, and then the saltwater pump control brings the water up from the basement. and I have them switched on this power bar here. That cobalt is the pump that's in the sump that I use to remove water when I just want to do a straightforward water change from the sump. So everything's labeled, everything's neatly managed, and my power management video will show you how it all works. Right now the return pump is on feed mode because that's the easiest way to control turning it on and off. To start with, I turned the saltwater pump on so that I could get extra water in the return chamber because the return pump is much more powerful and the water has to travel much farther to get here from the basement. So water is going up into the upper tank, and when the level of water in the return chamber looks like it's just about to allow the pump to run dry, I put the return pump back on feed mode to allow more water to build up. So it's a bit of a seesaw back and forth, and finally it does reach the point where the water level is exactly where it needs to be, and then I shut the salt water off. This went pretty well for the first time I've ever done it. It took about 30 minutes and it was kind of stressful and very, very messy. So I'm going to clean up my mess and then I'll test for nitrates and just see where we are and whether I can move the mollies into this tank. And there you go. Nitrates have dropped dramatically. I'm going to say there's somewhere around 10. So I think we're good to go as far as moving the mollies. Here are 7 out of the 10 mollies that I had in the 20 gallon. I was able to net these out quite easily, but I think the others are going to require a fish trap or some other method because they were pretty wily and evasive. So pretty soon I will be able to finish the acclimation and move them into their new home. I shut the lights off after I put these guys in here just to let them kind of settle in a little bit. I have to say I'm a bit worried about the tiniest ones because looking at the overflow teeth, I'm a little bit worried they might be the right size to get through. I thought they were big enough that that wouldn't be an issue, but I guess there's nothing really I can do about it. I don't want to net them out again. But they're exploring. I've seen them picking at the rock just like that, and that's what I want. That's what I love to see. The mollies are really cleaning up the algae in here. Just last night they went into this tank, and yesterday the rocks were absolutely covered. And take a look at this today. They're constantly grazing, and the proof is in the pooping. Because, oh my god, is there ever a lot of molly poo in here. I was freaking out a little last night when I first saw it because it looked like green worms. So I did a little bit of research and could find nothing about so-called green worms, and I reached the conclusion that this had to be molly poo from all of the algae. So this is amazing, and it's exactly what I was hoping for. So now we just have to hope that they all stay healthy, they all stay in the tank, don't end up going over the overflow, and on we go. I did manage to finally get the other 3 mollies out of the 20 gallon, and so now all 10 of them are here in the XL425. You can see how well they're doing. They really are healthy. All of them are very, very active, and they do a lot of photobombing, so can be quite annoying. However, they do constantly pick at the algae. You can see there's film algae on the rocks, and it's just there waiting for my blenny to be captured from the 29 gallon and moved over into this tank. I hope you enjoyed this little blast from the past, and thanks for watching. I really appreciate it.